expecting a couple more will join us. There's absolutely no trouble to join us halfway through. So you're here today to go through a half an hour webinar on giving your customers the red carpet treatment every time. So this is about how you make sure that you construct your sales within your business in such a way that your customers have such an excellent experience of you that they choose to buy from you again and again. And that's what we're going to focus on understanding today. So we're going to go through a few key things and let me share them with you. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit there about what impacts on your sales success. So I'm going to give you an outline of the things that actually influence whether your business is effective in selling your products or services or not, and how you would identify whether you had any room for improvement, which I hope we'll all agree we probably have. Then we're going to take a look at what benefits you'll see if you enhance your business communication. There are some very key areas which you will see significant enhancements in if you look specifically at your sales communications and focus on enhancing them effectively. And then finally, in that area of communication, we're going to understand what your key characteristics are. How do we define what good quality communications look like? And then we're going to move on to assessing your business. We're going to move on to saying, okay, we know what good communication should look like. How can I work out where my business sits? How can I benchmark my business and be sure which of my communications are positively affecting me and which need more focus and enhancement? And then once we've captured that quality information, we're going to start thinking very seriously about how you can create a sales improvement plan. And then, most importantly, for those of you who are really keen to advance your sales performance in 2019, I'm going to introduce you to a 5-day challenge. And that 5-day challenge is going to be an opportunity for you to take advantage of our free weekly coaching session where you can work in a really very specific way on enhancing your sales performance. So let's move forward now and talk about what impacts on your sales performance in your business. So at Elation, we work under the basic premise that in order to have real success in your sales department, for your sales side of your business to be flourishing and delivering everything it can, you need to have strengths in 3 key areas. And these areas are the 3 pillars of successful selling. These are in no particular order. Number 1, sales activity. And it's sales activity that we're going to talk about today. Sales activity is about the individual communications that your customer sees, and it's about understanding whether those communications drive the right decision making within your business. And if you have the correct selection of communications and they are being delivered effectively, you will then have a very effective customer journey within your business. The second area for excellent sales performance is the sales process pillar. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, I think. Interesting for a webinar for you all. That's the downside of doing a winter webinar, is it not? And so sales process is the second of your pillars. And the sales process pillar is the area in which we look at the customer experience within your business, how your customer shapes the journey, how your business shapes the journey that your customer takes to ensure that they have a high quality experience every time. And we talk here about customer journey mapping and the plans and practices that your business has in place to ensure that it delivers the right outcomes for your clients. And then last but not least, we're talking about sales management. And this is not just the management and leadership in your business, not just how people are mentored and processed in your business. Oh, accept my apologies. I think the camera went off for a brief moment there. Not just about how people are led in your business, but sales management is about the practices that you have in place to ensure that your team is thriving. How do you track and measure success? How do you coach and mentor? How do you ensure that each individual person in your business who is responsible for delighting your customers actually does so in the most effective way and develops to be the best that they can possibly be? So it's by looking at these 3 pillars and ensuring that they are robust in your business that we can ensure a business has great success. And it's this methodology that we call the growth framework. And the growth framework teaches a business how to shape a really high performing sales operation. And today we're going to focus very specifically on the sales activity pillar. And this is around understanding what the communications are in your business and whether they drive success. So what benefit are you going to see if you actually go ahead and craft excellent quality communications and add rigor to your sales activity pillar? So first of all, you're going to get diversity. It is fundamental in order that you can determine and obtain the correct market share. It is fundamental that you are able to repeat and reinforce your message with your customers in such a way that they fully understand and are fully educated in what you're able to offer. They have a clear understanding of all of the areas of benefit that you can bring and of exactly how you'll solve problems with them. In order to establish this level of education and ensure that your individual customers and clients actually have the correct information, this repetition of your message needs to be diverse. You need to ensure that you are sharing information and content with your clients in a way that is varied in order that you don't become a pest. So to avoid some of the pitfalls of becoming tedious to your customers, your sales communications should give you the diversity to spread your message. The other thing that great quality communications will do is facilitate faster decision making. When your customers have absolute confidence on what you are able to offer and that you are able to offer it in a credible and effective way, they are more likely to make a decision to buy with you. Great quality communications facilitate faster decision making because they remove doubt and they reassure and they increase levels of trust. So getting your sales activity pillar absolutely right will bring faster decision making and therefore quicker wins to your business. The third area of benefit that you will get if you focus effectively on your sales activity pillar is effective influence. When you are working with your prospects and clients and you are communicating information to them, you are looking to facilitate their decision-making process. You are looking to ensure that these individuals are able to make an informed and logical decision to go ahead and purchase your product or service. That this informed and logical decision that you are able to add benefit to their business should be something that they are able to make quickly and effectively based on the influence that your communications have. If you are not winning the amount of business that you feel that you deserve in your market, it is almost certainly because you are not influencing positive decision making. And this can be impacted specifically by your communications across written, verbal, and visual communication. The fourth area that having a clear communications trail will bring to you is strong tracking. If you define that a particular telephone call should be made in order to capture information at inquiry stage, and that after that specific telephone call, a structured email with a specific quotation should be sent, you have the ability to measure the effectiveness of those communications. You can track the volume of a communication that takes place and very clearly have transparency over the impact that it has. If you don't have a consistent set of communications within your business, there is nothing to measure, and therefore you do not have the ability to track effectiveness of your communications journey. And the fifth area is accurate education. It is paramount that your customers have absolute clarity of how you solve their problems, the benefits that you can deliver to them, and how you do so in a unique and effective way. If your communications are not well structured and they don't have the right content to them, you may miss key facts that your customers need to understand, and you'll have a less impactful education with your clients and prospects. So there are 5 very key reasons that you should be getting your sales communications right with your clients. So let's now take a look at how you achieve that. Analysing your sales activities. This is a fundamental key to understanding. Oh, sorry, I apologise. I feel that my camera has just dipped out again. Please bear with me with the slight technical fault. I'm sure you don't need to see my face anyway. So when you're analysing your sales activities, you are considering for each individual communication that your customer sees of you, you are looking at the characteristics that define good quality sales interactions. So whether you're talking about an email that your customer sees at quotation stage, whether you're talking about the proposal document that you send to them after a face-to-face meeting, whether you're talking about the content of your LinkedIn messages, any individual piece of communication that your customer sees can be analysed according to these 4 criteria. The criteria are content, structure, quantity, and diversity. Now let me take you through these 4 characteristics. Characteristic number 1 is content. When you are analysing the content of your sales messaging, you need to be asking yourself questions about whether the information that is shared in that sales communication is absolutely effective and on message for your target market. You would communicate in a very different way to an 80-year-old pensioner in your sales cycle than you might do to a 19-year-old teenager in your sales cycle. The tone of voice would be very different. Are you reflecting that in your sales messaging? All too often we see a one-size-fits-all in the way that we communicate with our clients. And if this is the case in your business, you have a huge opportunity to succeed and be more effective. So think about tone of voice. Also think about the key messages. Are you presenting your key sales messages? Are you presenting the key benefits that you are able to deliver? Are you sharing the relevant amount of information based on where your customers are in their buying cycle? If we are looking to generate awareness of our product at a brand awareness stage in the early part of the buying cycle, we should be sharing very different information than we would be sharing if we were talking to one of our loyal customers who had worked with us for many years. Have you thought about that in your sales communications and made specific guidelines about how you would like this to be managed? So we'll ask you to think about the content of those sales activities. The second area we're looking for you to think about is structure. Sales communications, whether they are verbal or visual or written, should always be considering a very specific structure. Your telephone calls should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Your visual materials should be laid out in such a way that information can be digested effectively. Your face-to-face meetings should have a very specific agenda to them. Do you have guidelines around the consistency of structure that you would like to see with your sales activities? Are you making clear to the people who work for you and with you specifically how you would like them to be conducting these sales activities? If not, then you can do some very significant work around structure for your sales activities. Third characteristic of excellent quality sales communications is quantity. Now, we always want to be doing significant analysis about the volume of sales activities that drives the correct results. So I want you to think about everything that you do to communicate to your clients. Is it a networking event? Is it a telephone call? Is it a face-to-face meeting? Is it a piece of email marketing? And I want you to ask yourself, are we doing enough of these things? And are we doing the right amount of them in a consistent way? There will be optimum levels of all of these communications that will drive the right results. If you're not achieving them, then something in your business needs to change. And please note that often with quantity, you can do too much as well. So think about, do you have a good balance of quality activities all throughout your sales cycle? And then the final characteristic of great quality sales communications is diversity. And we touched upon this in the benefits that you'll see from having the right communication strategy. And diversity is about, are you using a variety of sales activities across your sales cycle? So once you understand the key characteristics of great quality sales activities, your next step is then to assess and measure these. Take a look at how we do that. So in your business, if you're applying the growth framework to analysing your sales activities, you would be thinking very specifically about the scoring matrix for your sales activity evaluation to understand in this particular pillar How is your business performing and where are your areas for development? So you can see quite clearly here, if we look at the left hand side, the 4 key characteristics of excellent sales activity are listed there. So diversity, quantity, structure, and content. We then consider the 5 most predominantly used sales activities within a business. And in this instance, we have telephone, email, post, face-to-face, and events. So in this particular business, we are assessing those 5 areas. Now, you can see that the maximum score that we would be giving any one of these areas would be a 5. So let's look, for example, if we were considering assessing the diversity of our telephone work. Yeah. So if nobody in the business is using the telephone effectively and there is absolutely no quality sales activity coming through from telephone at all, we would put a 0 in that box. If the telephone is being used consistently and effectively across all stages of the sales process, and regardless of how the customer would like to access and at what point in their sales journey, they are able to access a team by telephone across lead generation, lead nurture, customer service, account management, the team are readily and proactively available by phone, then the business would score 5. And so we would go on. So we begin to see the business here gets a pattern of how it scores across each of these areas of characteristic. So the great news here is that this business has some real strength in the area of telephone and in the area of face-to-face and events. They are diverse. They are using these and allowing customers to access these regularly and across all of these specific areas. So that's how the diversity side of the scoring will work. Let's then take a little look at how this business is scoring against quantity. So you can note here that for all telephone, email, and postal, the business recognizes that it really is not managing the right quantity of work here. Now, I've worked with the business, so I happen to know that what they recognize is they're not sending nearly enough volume of these. Their email marketing is very ad hoc. They may occasionally communicate with the clients by email. There's no consistency, and there would be some months when their clients would see very little proactive email communication. They don't have enough telephone resource in the business, so they aren't able to make the volume of phone calls that they would like to make. So they can see that there are challenges within the quantity of sales activities that are being delivered in those areas. Events, however, are very strong for this business. This is a business which is built on networking, and their entire team of sales professionals attend networking events on a very regular basis. They have a discipline around it, a consistency around it, and their networking events are regularly attended. So they've scored very effectively there. So you can start to see, as we build up a picture of this business, they have absolutely no structure to their postal communications. They recognise that when letters get sent out in the post, they are often not constructed according to basic copywriting principles. They don't have clear content and messaging. They haven't got clear calls to action. And they can be very ad hoc. They would like to see much more quality put into their written communications. And again here, when we're looking at content, they recognise that the messaging and tone of voice within their email marketing isn't as strong as it needs to be. So with the use of this matrix and a good understanding of the business, you can easily begin to score the business. And for those of you who are really keen to understand how this would work for you specifically, a couple of things to note. Number one, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to show you how you would be able to download an ebook, free of charge ebook, which gives you real detail around how you can actually create scoring for your business so that you're able to understand where your business ranks. And additionally, if you want to explore in much more detail how you assess the other areas of your business, the 5-day challenge will help you to do that. So what this scoring matrix teaches us is not only specifically how this business scores, it shows us its key areas for development, and most importantly, it gives us this gap analysis. You will see in the bottom corner of your screen that this business has a gap of -50. The gap analysis in the Elation Growth Framework is a figure that teaches us what we call the gap to perfection. Yeah, so this is benchmarking your business against a very high performing business. This organization has got 50 points of development that it can work on to drive its sales activity pillar upwards. So we've got a very metric and measurable and robust analysis of where this business needs to focus. And what we recognize at Elation is that any business that has a gap between 40 and 60 has a very genuine opportunity for growth. So we've gone through our gap analysis here, and we're really clear on what can be achieved. What do we do next? Well, the key thing that needs to happen now is you start to plan for change. So you will have, based on your matrix, a list of the areas within your sales communications that you feel you could be more effective. And I want you to think about this 3-step journey for planning for change. One of the biggest challenges in most businesses is that we don't make our great ideas real in the business. So if you're applying the growth framework to your organization, one of the key things it will bring you in terms of benefits is the ability to implement and embed your change. So I ask you to think about 3 things here. Number 1, the new activities that you should bring in place in your business. So you might have identified that you're not doing follow-up calling to the quotations that are being sent out, and that you need to bring that into the business in order that you have the right volume of communications. You might have identified that you're not using social media effectively and that your market would engage very well with some LinkedIn messaging, and that's a new activity that you need to bring into the business. Write yourself a bullet-pointed list of all the new things that you need to do in order that you can have real impact. The second thing you need to do is an audit and assessment of your existing activities. You need to think about, based on everything you are currently delivering, what are your areas for development? What do you need to change and enhance in terms of the structure, content, diversity, or quantity? That's going to make sure that your existing activities score higher and add more rigor to this pillar. And then most importantly, once you have made those 2 specific lists, allocate ownership. Tasks get completed if somebody has specific ownership and accountability for them. So allocate responsibilities for these jobs. If you're a very small business, this might be a way of identifying what you need to outsource. You might be asking your key face-to-face salesperson to capture the agenda that they use that they know is most effective. You might be asking one of your copywriters in the business to create a more skillful template for the proposals that get sent out. Think about the work that needs to be done to enhance your sales process and assign those responsibilities. With a list of actions and a list of owners, you have a much higher likelihood for success. So we've done a lot of talking now about sales activities and about how specifically they can influence your business. I'm really going to encourage you to think about how you can make this relevant in your organization. And here are a few things for you to think about. So, as I mentioned earlier, you are very likely to want to think about the ebook. It's totally free of charge, and it will take you through all 3 of the pillars that I have discussed and give you absolute clarity on how you would score and benchmark your business and how you would understand what your gaps for development are. The other ways that you can access the growth framework and make that real in your business is to join our Growth Academy. If you are a business owner or manager and you are very keen on understanding how you can apply the growth framework into your business, you can become a licensed practitioner of the growth framework. Apply this to any business that you work in or with to ensure that you have the rigor to drive the right sales performance. And you can do so by joining our Growth Academy. You can find information about that on our website, or of course chat to one of us at any time. Or indeed, you can work with us on one-to-one consultancy, and I'd be delighted to support any of you on coaching, training, or planning for your business if you want to apply the growth framework. A few more important things that might be of interest to those of you who are really keen on pushing forward with the growth framework. People on this webinar and this webinar only will get a free place on our 5-day challenge to enhance your sales communications. So we've explored the sales activity pillar today and understood how you can benchmark your sales activities. We really need now for you to start thinking about the other pillars of your business, and the sales process pillar is a fundamental one to understanding customer journey. The free 5-day challenge, Creating a Powerful Process, begins on the 4th of February. So stick it in your diary straight away. Every day for 5 days, you will spend 10 minutes with Emma Kersey, who is the head of our Growth Academy, and she will take you through the specific requirements in order to rate and assess your sales process pillar and put in place the support that is needed. The first 10 people to sign up will get a free 1-hour coaching call. Please sign up for this as swiftly as you can to make sure that you get that call so that you can discuss the findings with Emma in more detail. You'll find on the slide deck here some information about exactly how people have found applying the growth framework to their business in the past, and hopefully you'll find that impactful to your continued learning. And finally, the slide that matters the most, register now for your 5-day free coaching program. Those businesses who actually register for that 5-day program see a huge amount of success, and I would highly advocate you join it. It starts at 9:50 in the morning on the 4th of February, and the first 10 people to join that 5-day challenge will get a coaching call free of charge with Emma to embed that learning. So please do sign up there. We thoroughly look forward to welcoming you. Any questions or comments, you can send them to us at Elation at any time. But this is your webinar for giving your customers a red carpet treatment every time, and I thoroughly hope that you have enjoyed that. I'm going to stay online, just audio, for a short amount of time to answer any questions anyone may have. If you are not watching this live, then you don't need to hang around because you won't get any live Q&A from that. And I hope you've had a thoroughly good experience, and we welcome your feedback. Many thanks.